Hi there. My name is Rod O'Connor and I work for E1 Solutions. Today we're going to be talking about an overall integration process. We're going to take a look at a process in action. So we're not going to look at any actual tools today. We're going to actually see these tools in action. In particular, we're going to be talking about the SmartConnect part of an integration as well as the Popdock portion of your integration strategy. SmartConnect is a tool that we use to actually move data from one environment to another or even within a single environment. For example, if you were to create an employee within your ERP system, and then you wanted to have a vendor automatically created so that you could proceed to pay them their expense checks, SmartConnect kicks in where the users can create the employee record, and SmartConnect will automatically create the vendor ID for you. Popdock is used when a system needs to see data, but doesn't necessarily need to have it physically within it. Now, what I mean by that, you've got salespeople that are working in their CRM, for example. They maybe need to see a cash receipt. They need to know if the invoice was paid so that when they're talking to their customer, they have all the information. But the CRM system itself has no use for the payment record. So what we can do is use Popdoc to embed a report, a widget report, inside the account for that customer, and it can actually show the ERP data related to that customer. So it could show the payments in this case. So without further ado, let's jump right into our demo. Okay, so I'm going to use this screen here to enter some data. This could be anything. Um, so this could be your online store, for example. This could be a user entering data into Excel. Maybe you're at a trade show collecting names. In my case, I've got this screen where I'm keeping track. I'm having my customers come in and create data for me. So they're going to come in, they're going to place an order. It's a very simple online store. Maybe for you, you've got Magento or you've got Shopify or something like that. Okay. So we're going to create Orphan Annie here. She's a Warbucks protege. We're going to go ahead. Annie really wants a unicycle. In fact, she's rich now, so she gets to order 10 of those unicycles. So she's going to go ahead and place that order here on our online store. Now, what's happening in the background is we want to actually take that order and get it into our order entry system. In our case, we want to enter it as an invoice. And we want to make sure that the warehouse is able to process that order. Okay, so we have a Smart Connect process that's watching this form, and as Annie clicks on submit, we're actually creating a customer record here in Business Central. So if we go to customers, we're going to have that customer record here in Business Central. We also created an invoice for what was ordered. Okay, so when you talk about moving data around, sometimes it's not just about creating the specific document that you need. It's about maintaining the data that surrounds that. For example, we need to make sure that your payroll system is passing in employees that exist, GL accounts that are correct. We need to make sure your order entry system is passing in. Here's our Warbucks protege customer. We need to make sure that your order entry is passing in customers that exist. If they don't exist, we need to create them as the order is imported, which we've done here. So you can see here we've got our Warbucks protege. We can go to our ongoing sales invoices. Okay, and again, I didn't have to get Betty, the order entry clerk, to do this for me. Okay, I can see here that I've got this invoice. Uh, here's my contact number. So we created the contact, we created the customer, we've got the item in here, quantity 10. So Annie's going to get this. Okay. So that's moving some data around. Now, at the same time that that this customer was created in Business Central, we want to notify the salesperson responsible for Annie's territory that this thing is out there, that Annie is now a customer of theirs, and they may want to actually follow up. So at the same time that we created the customer here, we actually created that customer in CRM, Dynamics 365 CE. So if I go to accounts and I take a look at my accounts created today, you can see that I do have Warbucks Protege that just got created. Here's my contact, Orphan Annie. So we're all good there. I can click into this account and see what information I do have. Now, I'm going to note I would normally have Smart Connect have set these guys to a customer because they did place an order with us, but I'm going to do that dynamically just to help me point out the fact that we can control when these relationships and these sets of data move back and forth. If this was a vendor, for example, I wouldn't want to update a customer record with an address when I made an address change. In this case, I'm updating a customer. Okay, so we can actually control when this code gets kicked off. I'm going to go ahead and enter an address just for giggles. 123 Any Street. Okay, and that's going to be in any town. I think that's the right field. Okay, so now we have some address information in there. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now what we've got is a real-time map again that's watching for changes to these accounts. And if I go back to Business Central and take a look at the Warbucks protege, it's going to have an address. But while we're here, I want to take a look at something. Now, in our case, CRM, my salespeople want to be aware of what's happening with this account. So what invoices got created? But again, my CRM having a physical invoice record integrated into it, it's not really required. It's just taking up data space. And in this day of the cloud where we have limitations on how much data we're passing back and forth or how often we speak to their API, that can become kind of costly. So we don't want to pass data if we don't have to. If you take a look here, I've got a Popdock widget. I'm going to click on refresh just to show you. So Skippy there was our, or some people call him Cloudy. He's our little icon to prove that this is a Popdock widget. So we've embedded this report. It's a real-time report. Every time I click on refresh, it'll go out and ask, in this case, Business Central, for all of the invoices that exist for this particular account. Okay, I can take a look at this. I can show my details. Okay, and for example, I might want to take a look at what lines are on the details. So down here in the bottom part, we're going to have the ability to see what exactly has Orphan Annie ordered on this invoice. Okay, if I wanted to add some columns, for example, that'll just take a second to load, don't worry. We'll take a look at columns while we're here. Okay, I can, oh, see here, you got the unicycle as the line, so that just took a second to pop up. If I wanted to see, for example, what is the due date on this particular invoice, I can select that column. I can say add selected column. Okay, and now I've got that information for me as well. I don't have to phone Betty, the order entry clerk, to ask what was on the invoice. When is the invoice due? When are we going to ship? I can actually present that information to my salesperson through the CRM as an embedded actionable report. Okay. If my salesperson actually has access to Business Central, they can right-click on this, and they could, for example, go directly to the invoice, which is going to open up another window where it's going to go directly to the Business Central invoice in question. Okay, so now I can see this invoice. I've moved around. I've got actions that are great. Okay. So I have all the information at my fingertips without having to maintain any kind of integration. So let's go back to our customer again, just to prove. Our Warbucks protege here should have an address now. If we take a look, yes, they are located at 123 Any Street, and that's in any town. They still have that one invoice outstanding. So what we have there, what we've shown you here is that it's possible to maintain data between two systems. In fact, between three systems because the data originated from an order entry form. We can maintain that data in three systems with nobody ever having to really do anything twice. Okay, so whoever has the information can enter that information. That information flows through to all the other systems who need it so that the users of those systems have that information at their fingertips when they need it. The flip side of that is we showed you how you can show data to your users without having to actually build a complex integration to move the data. So when the data doesn't need to actually flow across, but your users still need to be able to review it, that's when Popdock kicks in and you can run real-time reports from any system and present it in any system. So that's our demo for today. In our next demo, we're actually going to go through the components of the SmartConnect process so that you can see what it takes to actually build an integration that will flow data from one spot to another. Thanks.